Okay.
Congratulations. Saw the picture of your bundle of joy.
Yes. 4 weeks.
I'm not down. I'm only work on my bro. So get out. How are you? This is him. Yeah.
Good morning.
Feel like it's got preference, but it has. Yeah, I did that for you. Like,
Did you?
yeah. But I believe in like and work. Everyone else just no. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is get close to that. One place or
You don't, you're back.
right? That's why I said nervous.
Oh, we're sitting up there. They didn't mean that. They're all looking at this.
Right.
Did you have fun Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got that. Lock down that front.
Well, some guys here to take it. That be $2 grand last year. We don't have a deal. I said I wasn't aware of the last no.
Okay.
Did you pay?
They haven't paid yet. I had to check. Yeah. I had to leave and I can get credit card. So salad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta give someone, I can give a check right now. Yeah. So I called and said. Right here. Yeah. Very good. I'm awesome. This room.
I don't think they changed.
I should get a discount. Right? That's because the other guy got cheap on it. He was in the same place timers. Yeah. I was like,
Well, you told me that you put them on the bid. I'm like, where are you? They're like, there you go.
I did it. Whatever he did, I was 500 real looking.
I'll formally call this meeting of the Parks and Harbor and the Ad Hoc Pool Committee to order. Good evening, everyone. My name is John DeLuley of Park City Council. I'm privileged to chair the Parks and Harbor Committee meeting. This is a formal meeting since the Parks and Harbor Committee is a formal committee of the city, so we are required to comply with the Open Meetings Act. And one of the requirements of the Open Meetings Act is that the primary purpose is why we're here tonight is to receive public comment, quite frankly. I think, as I said the last time, public comment, the process is critical in these types of decisions that will, of course, be made with your input and more input and more input. We heard you the last time. We heard from a ton of people via emails and telephone calls as well. We went back to the drawing board as it is, based on the comments that were received. Made some changes that will be explained, and while the changes won't meet with everyone's approval, we hope that they meet with a large cross-section of your approval tonight, because again, the process is critical. We're not here just to have a meeting and to run something through city council. While of course, no decisions will be made tonight, it's hoped in the very near future that the Parks and Harbor Committee will make a formal motion to bring the plans to city council for further debate, for further public discussion, and for thumbs up or thumbs down. So how many of you, just out of curiosity, were here at the last meeting? By raise of hands. Okay, so wonderful, just about everyone. I want to take just a moment, please, to introduce a couple groups of people. Our administrative staff, of course, Shay Reside, our city manager, is here to my immediate left. Our assistant city manager and city clerk, Derek Kazicki, is here. Chris Galatas, the director of Parks and Recreation, is here. Michelle Eichhorst in the corner is also in our parks. She's responsible for just about everything with Chris and does a fantastic job here. We don't think I'm missing anyone from the city. We have several council people in attendance tonight. Lev Wood of City Council is here in the middle. And on the committee with me is our Mayor Pro Tem, Beth Conrad Wilberding, and Neil Soroka. And our committee members, I'd just like to, when I read from the list, you can raise your hand. Alexandra Horst is our recording secretary, as we're required to take minutes. So when you make a comment, your name has to be given, your address has to be given by state law. We will note that on the meeting minutes. We will not note a full explanation of everyone's comments for brevity purposes and for minutes purposes. Michael Ottaway is here. We had a fantastic, he's the president of the Farms Foundation. I know many of you were here last Thursday night. Brave the rain. We had an absolutely fantastic evening. All of us, Michael, thank you for all of that. It was wonderful. I'll go through the list. Dean Sign is here from Parks and Harbor. Dean is there. Raise your hands. Thank you very much. Rick Smith, are you here? Rick? I don't see him now. Thank you. Tony Catliff is here. Thank you. Our former mayor and councilman Jim Farquhar is here. Bridget Christian is here at the end. John Austin is here. Judge Todd Briggs from Wayne County Probate Court is here. Sheila Fredericks is here as well. Thank you, Sheila. Joanne Blackford is here. Thank you, Joanne. Tom Mertz is here. Thank you, Dr. Mertz. Lauren Cooper is here. Somewhere. No? And who am I missing? Did I get everyone? All right. Again, we appreciate you being here. And when we speak tonight, if you don't mind, there's a little blue X there. You can come there. The microphones are centered on that X. We had a ton of views on YouTube. This is being recorded so people can see it after the meeting is concluded. Several hundred people watched it last time. Sound was a little iffy at points, so you can stand there, speak loudly, we'll listen carefully when you speak. And I'll now turn it over to Shane Reside, our city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you all again for being here, coming out again for another meeting. This is a little bit atypical in that, typically this committee, meets and we don't have a whole lot of people attending these meetings, but I think this really is evident of the interest and importance of the project that we hope to undertake. Our last community meeting was on August 19th, and we had about 140 people in this room. So we did get a lot of feedback, I think very valuable feedback that we wanted to, further explore and share with the Ad Hoc Committee and Parks and Harbor Committee. our city clerk is getting very good with technology lately, and he had actually AI listen to the whole meeting and did a synopsis, which I thought was kind of neat, that it highlighted some of the topics of discussion, the main topics of discussion that were brought forth during that meeting. And I'm just gonna go through those briefly, and these are kind of highlights. I know there was a lot of other comments made, things that, detail that we're not covering, but I think there were some themes that emerged that I want to share. Splash pad removal. Many residents oppose removing the existing splash pad, citing its popularity with young children and the convenience for families with multiple kids. They felt that the proposed splashing deck outside the pool area, the bathhouse, was not an adequate replacement. Lazy River, and this was a big surprise to me. I thought this was the one feature that everyone was going to be probably most excited about. But I think a lot of the comments about the Lazy River, there was questions of the practicality, the cost, safety, and maintenance demands. Concerns included lifeguard staffing challenges, limited usability, and potential inefficiency. Swim lane length and layout. And frankly, that was something that was discussed as it pertains to the leisure pool. We have the 25-meter lanes proposed for the competitive pool. For the leisure pool, we had smaller lanes due to size restrictions. And I know we had members of this committee who were very vocal about wanting to see the length of those lanes be more in line with the competitive swim and the competitive pool. Loss of shaded and grass areas. Residents value the existing shaded area between the beach and the pool, and concerns about the loss of that area with the new design. And then lastly, I think as John alluded to, is really community input and transparency. And there's a strong call for meetings like this where we are sharing what is going on kind of behind the scenes. And then again, another opportunity to have this reviewed with the whole community. And it's our hope, depending on how today goes, we'd like to see at least a framework for a conceptual plan to be ready to be presented to City Council, so we can again have another public meeting, probably in this room, similar to what we did last month, and kind of vet those plans and hopefully move forward. There is some, I think, urgency. I think we do have time, but to feel in order to meet a desired schedule of construction next year, things have to take place in terms of getting a preliminary site plan approved, so we can prepare the more detailed renderings, go out for RFP processes and so forth. So that's something that I'll be asking the council, the committees to look at the end of this meeting. So in summary, those are the comments. We heard those comments. I think we've responded. Again, probably not meeting everyone's expectations on every aspect, but I think you were heard, and I'm hoping that you'll be pleased with some of the modifications that are being recommended. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sue Grissom from Grissom Metz.
So we're in charge of the site plan you're talking about. Myself, I'm going to present, and then Allie with our office, she's on Zoom part of the call. She can add as well. She's that kind of the head designer of the project. She's calling in from Greenville, South Carolina. She attended the public meeting and other meetings. So if I mess up, Allie's going to step in and correct me. Okay, you guys? So we'll start out with the next slide that will just kind of refresh what we had shown for the public meeting. So walking through, kind of those points Shane brought up where we heard comments and asked for improvements. I'm just going to kind of point with a pointer. There's that lazy river, in other words, kind of current river. It was decided, we heard enough comments, just felt for the reason Shane said that maybe it wasn't the thing to do. So we'll show you after this slide kind of a proposed improvements, but that was one feature really highly discussed. The other feature he mentioned was this is the recreation pool and the length of the lap lanes. Strong desire to have those lanes longer. Talking about even just the effort of turning around, they wanted the full lane. So we looked at lengthening the lane to be as long as the competition pool of that 25 meters. In addition, Shane mentioned down here's kind of our beach area and our lawn area. This did not have that same lawn that you have today. And there was a desire to have more lawn and more area for shade around the deck. So we looked at that as well. Another concern was, as Shane mentioned, was we've got a larger, nice wading pool, but we don't show the splash pad. We took that out, went back and forth hoping, as Shane mentioned, that these features out here would be kind of used throughout the season, a longer time, all age groups, just, but there was that desire for the younger kids to have that splash pad element. I think also, Shane, there was a few comments on the bathhouse, if later, if there's questions, but that was pretty much held in place. So our role is working with the pool designers, working with the architect, working with all of you, just to kind of put it all together on the site. So did I miss anything before we go on?
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna go on to addressing those comments and concerns and with this new layout. Okay, so kind of starting at the top and hitting kind of the goals that we try to achieve. 25 meter long lap lanes in the recreation pool. We were able to achieve it. That used to be that lazy river right there. Instead, what I think you guys are gonna really like, I hope we will hear today, in this little corner right there is basically kind of a spot that you can sit on, kind of bench seating around the edge of the pool. And we can have little bubbles, kind of like a jacuzzi feel, I'm calling it a conversation area, just to hang out, have the jets, not the heated jets, but just to kind of hang out here, and that could fit like 15 to 20 people, depending on how close you get. That could be a really nice kind of hangout spot. And then over on our beach area, I personally think this is a great improvement. You don't have that straight line anymore, you curve it. So this green in there is a very large 1,200 square feet of lawn area with the shaded trees that we've really improved on, as well as I think you guys know how you have that walkway with those waves. This really becomes something by having that curved form, really kind of helps soften that edge. So I'm really pleased by it. I hope you guys say the same. Also adding, again, this is kind of repurposing that awning that you have currently over by your wading pool shade. Other areas for more shade, we'll develop this later, but we're trying to show more shade opportunity. You can maybe put more on this edge. Come to the wading pool. So we turned the orientation of the wading pool, kept the sides because that was important. But out here, this is illustrating adding back the splash pad. The cool part about it is when you come in here, we can open this area and close this off. When the pool's closed down, you can leave the splash pad open longer. So we're not dependent on that. Another thing, we talked about is by having these longer lap lanes, come August, when you start using your lifeguards, and they're really sparse, we can close the competition pool at that point, but still leave all this area open, so it's not so strapped having coverage. So it's nice to have the two pools for that reason. We did talk with a pool consultant that what happens when we do, remove that lazy river, the mechanics, because there's pump system for the lazy river, but now we've got an enhanced pump system for the splash pad. Would that work? Would that fit in our new mechanical building? So they verified that the trade-off was close, but we've got this area out here. It's a little screen wall, and that just needed to get 3 feet bigger. So it's sounding very practical. We wanted to make sure we didn't promise something, then go, oh my God, where do we put all the mechanical? Have I missed anything? I think that's in a nutshell. When we did this right here, this is the top lot today. We stole about 10 to 12 feet off this edge, 10% of that top lot to make this happen for this area here for the splash parks. Later, it's got to get developed much further, but this is just the diagram so we can all feel good, because we've got to go to consultants. We do have a next page, which if you move on, you kind of talk about the splash element. That has to get developed further. So Ellie, you want to move on to that page? We could kind of just show.
That's kind of an open. So this is the gas. What would be really nice if you guys agree, it's got a long way to be developed, was to get a little bit of a theme. So that when we do a splash, we kind of have fun kind of theme. And right now we're showing frogs, we're showing grasses, seaweed, just kind of a nature feel. It can be anything, and that will be a later, step. That was just kind of talking about something that's an opportunity that you move on. How to have kind of some fun in that doing. I think that is it in a nutshell, unless I missed anything. You guys want to go into more details, you'd like to have them out.
Yeah, why don't we, I think we went, one slide we didn't show, I thought was kind of interesting, is that overlay shot. That actually is, I think, a good, kind of captures, the overall project. How we created more room, within the swim deck by, pushing, the bathhouse is moved a little bit north under this plan. We didn't want to be on the same footprints for construction. So not only, we talked a lot about this at the last meeting, not only by moving it back, it gets a little bit more room within the pool area, but it also gets room along the beach area in front of the, kind of on the beach side of that building, where we, envision a screened-in porch area and creates, again, a more openness. I think those were features that were liked. I think Sue mentioned the bathhouse aesthetics design. I think there was a positive response to the aesthetics of the proposed bathhouse revision. There were some suggestions for, I would call some tweaks with the bathhouse that Chris Blake is currently looking at. Minor things, adding maybe some lockers within the bathroom facilities. Looking at maybe another commode in the women's bathroom. But again, essentially the same footprint. And if you want, we can scroll just again, just to remind people what that looked like if we go to the next.
So this is the plan showing the competition kind of conceptual layout
Right.
and then the full site plan.
Do the competition management.
And he showed that competition.
Oh, yep, sorry.
For showing that. So again, what it's showing, it's just, you have from what different size swim meets, but right now it's showing 8 different bleachers. Kind of coordinating off the area, so potentially sometimes the rec pool could be used. And kind of there's the bleachers, when we remove those lounge chairs, we can have place for storage. There's the scoreboard. This has got to get developed a lot further, but right now it's kind of, like your own space planning. Are we showing the elements in the right order and, generous sizes, so then we can develop further.
And we go to the kind of the elevations of the bathhouse.
Yep, sorry.
Okay, so that, again, if we're proposing essentially the same elevation, there would be an additional pathway that would connect to what we would call the new splash pad area. So you could have direct access from the park and could be again open and available like a day like today when it's warmer and the pool is closed. This is showing kind of that we call it, I think, a splash deck or wet deck in front of the community. The bathhouse, but the fountains that come up and which I think adds some not only visual interest, but it's something again that we would envision maybe kids at a little bit older age would enjoy. I think the thought now is if we do add splash pad features back with the top pool, that those features could be reduced, they could be eliminated. But I would hope that we would still consider those because I think they do add again value to the overall site plan. That I think that really shows kind of that area to the left where it really opens up to the beach area. And that's, that where you would have a screened porch on that end, where the existing, lifeguard area is. And as we discussed before, the idea of the lifeguard is to move them up to the pool deck. And we're gonna be abandoning, the room in the maintenance area on the pool deck that houses the equipment. And, that would be converted to, the area for lifeguards.
Here we are on the beach area, I was kind of looking back, this edge now will become more curvilinear, and we have a lot more room for that lawn to pick up the green space. Back there is kind of the deck, and there's the screen porch, this could be really, an active area that's a little bit underutilized right now, another spot.
All right, so that's really kind of it in a nutshell. I think, I would ask for reactions and thoughts on proposed changes.
So,
Yeah, why don't we start with the committee members and then we'll go to the public. And when we go to the public, please just state your name and address for the record, it'd be very helpful. We'll just go around the table this way.
Sure,
Rick Smith.
yeah, I think this hits the nail on the head, I really do. Obviously, my concern with my kids was losing the splash pad. We have, a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old as well that are gonna be growing up in the big pool and splash pad, along with a 7 to 5-year-old. Obviously what I've told Chris all along is I think if we were to ever repurpose the top lot, now's the time to do it. My only concern is it might get congested in that area, for the tops. That's my only concern. So if you're taking a 10% now, it's easy for me to say. Now might be the time to take up 20% of it and add a little bit extra room for parents, and his art does get congested now, and that would be it.
Yeah, I concur. So overall, I thought it would be impossible to kind of reflect the range of different comments that we got last time, and I think this does a wonderful job of kind of taking in a lot of the public response and giving some answers. I agree with Rich. Right now we have almost a little too much seating area that almost never gets fully utilized in the splash pad. But I think having a little bit more would be good, and I agree. We had talked in the past about trying to move the tot lot over closer to the main playground area eventually anyways. And so now might be the time to kind of steal some additional spots so that folks have seating, and we can have a little bit more shade there because it does get pretty on that. The one question I had was, I do like the curvilinear approach to the pool deck, but I am wondering how much space and how much capacity we lose because of that. Obviously, we had a lot more depth before, and so my question is like, did we lose compared to now, what kind of capacity are we gonna have there? And then the only other, I think you kind of answered it, or at least our team did here. I assume that we can open, when you say that we can open the splash pad beyond the summer months, that would be like right now, and that was kind of mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that we would just fence off.
Yeah, and I think that's overall a good approach, and I know that would be greatly appreciated. And I finally, I agree with the idea, if we can include the water feature in the front of the building, I think that's a marvelous contribution, just kind of it adds some visual elements. One thing we might want to think about what's amazing about this is we got all of it in. The thing that concerns me is when we do all of the things, what does the budget look like afterwards? And so my only question there was, if there is a significant budget increase that is difficult for the city to kind of take on, maybe that's an opportunity where you can build it in later. And that just means we have that as part of the overall plan and build in the capacity to add that at a later.
Good point, and there actually, we did size what the equipment would be for, the pond feature, the water feature in front of the building. And so there is a space, available within the building that, if we did do it at a later date, it could be done at a later date. Also,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Overall, I think this is a great improvement. I was never a fan. Sorry, lazy river.
I like.
I am a fan of labs, lab pools. As someone who does this on a regular basis. I'm really happy that they extended the length of it, and it seems to incorporate the two pools. In a very succinct way with it. I think I agree with all the different comments. I think that if we want to do an option for budget, then it would be in front of the, with the pools going up. The splash pad, I think it's great to have it open, for a longer season. I do have a question. Do we need lifeguards for a splash pad? Is there a requirement for that? Okay. All right, I got that. Other than that, I think it's far from conducive to what the public had put in. But it's more conducive to our cost analysis and for usage. So thank you.
Jim Farquhar. I like this plan. I think it works really well, and I give the city administration credit for listening to the residents. It's like it creates little rooms at the park. We have a new room, and by meaning a room, a landscape area we can use. And I like it to the east of the walkway there, the semicircular area for people sitting. And I like that area that you have the spot around. It creates another area for sitting and for relaxing and seeing things. And so we're creating different venues for different rooms. I do like the way the pool fence curves, because people do sit there, but it's awful linear now. And they sit there and they have their little picnics and have their food and beverages. And now when you get that, they can be set more aside for their own little party. I like the increased shade. The pool area is incredible. I mean, it's about time that we had something that we can do competitive racing on and match with everybody else. I like that. I like there's so many swimmers that come down here to swim, laps. And I think that everything just seems to work out on this one for me. I think it creates a lot of little rooms and better use of the green space that we do have. I'm a big proponent of not taking up a lot of space in a park. It's hard. We're in a finite space and we want infinite things. And, to make it work, something has to give. And to me, this is probably the best plan I have seen where everybody can win something. And to me, if 90% of the people are happy, we've done our thing. That's it.
So did a real good job of listening to the residents and bringing back the splash pad. That was loud and clear. And then also, I think what's really good is to be able to, as somebody said in late August when the guards are going back to college, is to be able to shut down the large pool and still be able to have the lap pool and that area for families. And then also the fountain area it is a huge plus for I think the entire park. It brings another element out, and I think that they've done a really good job. You've done a good job with readdressing this, and I think for me this works very nicely.
Director Burks.
Yes, Tom Burks. Before I entered the meeting, I took my car around and I looked at the existing pool. And I'm in my mind, knowing the changes that were going to happen, this is many times better, this layout. So much of the activity in the pool is in the recreational area, and this recreational pool expands that area. And encompasses, I would say 70% of, what a pool does for the community. And kids can go in there and have fun. And there's plenty of opportunity there for lap swimmers. Keep at it, because it's good for them. All right.
Hi, Sheila Fredericks, wearing a couple of hats here. One is a mom that has 3 kids 4 and under and lives in the farms. And then also as a construction manager, so thinking of this a couple ways, but wanted to first say, echo everyone's comments that it seems like the redesign that happened in the past just 4 weeks, it's really remarkable how many comments were incorporated. I think if I could echo another comment, the tot lot playground is not widely used, and I think especially with year-round access to a splash pad. When we do have the warmer days, if we wanted to expand into that area more, you could do so without adding too much more water, just having more areas for kids to run around and for parents to supervise. I think visibility between the small kid pool, the splash pad, and the larger recreation pool for parents who are managing multiple ages is really important as well. As well as adding some shade. It does not have to be through trees, but maybe sails or something of that nature that helps to the red shade. The splash area is pretty stunning at this point. I also wanted to say appreciate the addition of the family changing area and showers. I don't think we spent too much time on the interior bathhouse layout, but that's a huge addition for the community. And then again, just switching hats to construction manager, I do think it's a good value engineering option to take the splash area outside of the bathhouse. That's something that you can pretty easily prep for future use. To construct that at a later time would be as much impact as it would down the road. So not a huge burden to do that later versus now. Other than that, I think it's beautiful.
Are you good? Okay, Bridget, Christian. Few things, if we're gonna appreciate the splash pad being open year round, are the bathrooms then going to be able to be open? Like the ones on the end there? If so, can how many, or like what configuration will you get access to the bathroom? And then also, can you put in an outdoor shower on that side? Because what I'm seeing, what I couldn't imagine is that my kids are gonna be playing on the beach, and then they're gonna in this fall and spring months, and then they're gonna run over to the splash pad, and that splash pad's gonna get full of sand. So any kind of like foot spray or any kind of like water feature to keep sand off the splash pad, I think would be a pretty you got water over there anyway. I appreciate that we are extending the lap lanes to be full length. I just do not want to see the competition pool shut down for the month of August because we have less guards. Like, we just cannot normalize that. So I just want to state that publicly. The trees, Susie Birchbeck would want to make sure that I say something about this. I know it's construction and trees can grow back, but I just want to make sure that one of the beautiful things about our community is our old big trees. So if we could also be planning for not just building, 100-year-old trees, that this will be here 50, 60 years from now. I'm not just thinking of my kids right now, I'm thinking about my grandkids. I really don't think that the beach should have grass on it. If you go to any metro park and see what that looks, I was literally just at Stony Creek Metro Park at a cross country meet. It's a mess. So I don't think we want to get into the maintenance of that. So I appreciate getting more grass on the upper part. I don't like the landscaping on the beach. That's just me. Has there been any more discussion about the programming of what's going in I don't know what we're calling this, community building 2.0, like on the other side, like what's going upstairs? Like what that's gonna be. I know we haven't gotten into that, but that's interesting to me. If we're putting something in there, what that might be. And I'm sure we'll talk about timeline later.
Michelle Eichhorst from the Parks and Rec here, any comment? Yeah,
No, I really like this design. I wasn't a fan of the lazy river either. So. But this gives like a lot for swimming area. And when it comes to swim lessons and all the stuff I do, this is gonna be much.
Deep sign, please. Oh, sorry.
So the new building, we didn't talk anything about the lifeguards. Are they being put in the farm building and this building? Where are they now?
They're gonna be right there.
They're still there? Okay, I didn't know if they, because that building, the other building got bigger, if we were moving them to the other building. Okay.
Dean sign, please.
Dean sign, honestly, I don't have too many comments. I think everyone's sort of given their input. I mean, if I had my choice, I'd want high dives and a giant slide, but so I don't think anybody wants it here, so, but I think it's fabulous. I appreciate all the hard work everybody's put in and the revision. It looks great. So.
Michael Ottaway, please.
I'd echo what Dean just said. I think it's great. You guys have listened. You've adapted to what everybody wants. My point with that tot lot area, you know, however that gets sized, people never want to lose anything. And so that interplay, my kids used to use that. So I would just say somehow make that work, that those people that like that, you know, feel like here's the dry part and then here's the wet part, whatever that interplay is. But I think you guys done a great job. I'm very curious to hear what the rest of the group has to say.
Alexandra Horst.
Yes, thanks to the whole team. As a land use planner and someone in community and government affairs, I think this certainly satisfies all of the different stakeholder constituencies. So I appreciate the thoughtful approach that the whole team took. I was a lazy river fan, so I'm
just trying to get the cheers.
no. So I am a little bummed about that, but I certainly understand how the plan was adapted, and I like that area that Sue explained as far as the you know, having a space for congregation and not just the lap lanes in that corner. I also agree with the fountain area. I think that certainly adds aesthetic appeal, and I love the idea of keeping some of these areas and spaces open beyond just the regular summer season. So the extent we can do that is great. Also, I really like how we can have different temperatures for the pools. I think that's awesome. Just wanted to reiterate that. My only concern is just not sure we need that second floor of the bathhouse building. So just wanted to put that out there. I love the first floor, not totally sure about the value of the second floor because I know it would add expense.
Chris Coladas, Capital Parks, how do you think it's gonna fit in with the everyday and what Michelle said?
Yeah, no, I definitely just want to echo everybody's comments, and it's been a labor of love putting it all together and working through with Sue's team and everything like that. I do want to say thank you to all of you who have reached out, whether it be by email, by phone call. I do hope in the comments that I've had with you guys that you do realize that we did listen. And that was the biggest thing that I had when we got to this point, is to be able to listen to the residents. I've had some great conversations with our residents to hear what they liked, disliked, going back and forth and debating it. But I truly believe that this, you know, with some tweaks maybe here and there, it really did hear everybody's concerns and comments. But it's been a great process. The team that's worked on it, I'm proud to be part of it. So, but that is it. I think it's going to work out well for our community, the way we can program it when we get to that piece of the puzzle. But it's going to be a dynamic thing for this community, and proud to be part of it.
Derek Kazicki, Assistant City Manager and City Clerk.
I was team lazy river. Firmly did it. A long time.
Yeah.
All right, let's go around to this side. Of the table. No, we're going around.
I think you really listened. I think that you came up with fabulous changes. I'd like to echo that I'd love to see the competition pool kept open, and available for swimmers. I'm very happy to see the lap lanes longer. I'm a lap swimmer, and I sat on this committee saying it over and over and over again. And I think seniors would use it too. So, I think you listened. I really, you did a great job.
Judge Todd Briggs.
I wanna commend the city, we needed to upgrade, the facility, and they really took this to heart. They've maximized the space, they've modernized the space, and I think, we'll see how the budget goes, but I think they've maximized the budget, to keep it tight. They haven't really increased anything, and this is a great showcase for our city. I think we're leading all the parks. I think the Shores is next to upgrade, but they're not gonna get close to this. This is fabulous. The competition pool is, efficient and maximized. All the lap swimmers are happy about that. The extension of the runoff, the 3 extra lanes, it's fabulous. They extended them. Team Lazy River, I guess I'm a senior too, but I won't miss it, but the lanes will be used. The lanes will be used, but the city really listened, and I think it's kind of like how there's that joke about a blind man describes what an elephant looks like. That's kind of the process, but it's really everyone's listened. All the changes suggested are there. I think we're building more efficiency with the beach side, the front with the fountain features. I think it'll be hard to improve upon this. I think that's about maximizing. I'm sure we can probably find out how much deck space there is, and there will be, but it looks about the same, good trade-off, but it's really maximizing the space without taking up any of the green space. As Mayor Farquhar mentioned, that's a showcase for us. So thanks for all the work, and I think it's a good plan.
Did you wanna say, wait, Todd's always on team tent the pool, did you wanna say anything?
Yeah,
about,
I do.
like, if we could just pour the foundation,
Yeah.
so that
Oh,
climate
I
change
tried to
comes
set
in
that.
20 years, that we could potentially
Oh.
tent this pool?
It's probably no secret. They're gonna close Brownell eventually, probably. We're running out of money. That pool likely will be closed. I think they closed Pierce. I'm sure it's on the chopping block. It's still, they're considered frivolous. So we will miss the Brownell pool. So my idea, I've been on a lot of swim committees. I was president of Club Wolverine with Michael Phelps. We're the best team in the world. We were looking at building our own pool or maximizing outdoor pools just like this around the Ann Arbor area. The best way to do that is you can do a temporary shelter that stands up to snow, wind. They have them in Colorado up in the mountains where it's just roughly, it's an aluminum structure you take up and down within a day or two in the fall, and you can use it over the winter and a day or two in the spring. And I would suggest, because of that, and we don't have the budget now, but maybe for the foundations or the whatever for that structure. And we do it now, it costs almost nothing. I think to retrofit that thing would probably cost $500,000. I'm not sure to get all the things. I'm not a construction guy, but I think it would be beneficial to think about that now, because later when Brownell closes, we can maybe do another fundraiser with the foundation to get it covered. That might be 5 or 10 years from now, or 5 months, I don't know. But I think we should plan, because that would really serve the community well, and we'd be way ahead of the curve with the other parks and the other cities, if we, at least for the foundation. I don't know what that would entail. That's the. No, that's, I think it's totally, I don't want to cause any extra expense or any argument on that, but it would be good to look at.
Not a word. When Mr. Eastside was talking about the fountains, the thing that came to my mind is how much my grandchildren and grandpa would enjoy that part of the area. I think we'd have a blast in there. Talk about that. So, thank you. All right, why don't we start with public comment from the back of the room? and work our ways up if you don't mind. And please, if you would, stand on the new spot and try to keep the noise down so that all of your comments can be picked up during our broadcast and preserved. Name and address, please, and thank you very much.
Good evening, Stephen Omagi, 336 Kirchable. We're setting this up again today. Regarding the toddler park, losing 10 to 50% of the space for the expanded toddler. By the way, I was team, thanks for early. Somebody lose some, but for the toddler park, if we're talking about losing 15%, have there been a thought about potentially taking 3 parking spots away instead of the toddler park? And I realize we're Motor City, cars are, part of life, but if we're losing space for a toddler park, I don't know if we're gonna keep it in the same location, how we cover that space. If we're gonna take space right now, might as well redo that whole park. You're in the midst of construction at that point, so just a thought of that.
How do you spell your last name, Stephen? Sorry.
HALMAGH.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Steve was Louis McKinley, been the last swimmer here for 35 years. I love the changes you made. Particularly the splash pad being the kiddie pool. The good judge brought up an awesome point. We have I don't know what the budget is for this. We use it for 12 weeks out of the year. If we could somehow bring it to something closer to 12 months rather than 12 weeks, it would be great, because I know gators consume a lot of lap time at the high school. And it's kind of difficult to find the lap pool to swim in. With that in mind, and the foundations that you talked about, Todd, can the mechanicals run in the winter if that is achieved?
Yeah, it's something we'll definitely this is something we can bring up with after both the engineers and the pool planners, and we can explore that.
Along with the foundations, if they could plan for mechanicals running in the winter, it would probably be easy to do that now, like, rather than later. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Cool. My name is Patrick Wagner, 353 Hillcrest. I, first of all, want to say thank you very much for listening to all of our comments from last time. I think you guys have definitely improved, especially considering the longer length of those 3 lap lanes. I know, being a swimmer myself, I think that will be very much appreciated throughout the community. I do want to kind of stress something that someone on this side of the table said. With the potential of the competition pool closing early in August, I hope we don't set that precedent and try to keep it open as long as possible, of course. I think that is really important, especially being a swimmer. Considering a lot of people swim laps in the evening, and trying to fit everyone in 3 lanes would be very difficult. I also do kind of agree with the comment about the beach. I think the green area on the beach takes away from the aesthetics of seeing the water and seeing everything from the pool deck. I also know a lot of kids like to play on the beach, so by adding green space to the lower half of the beach, you're taking away from that freedom for them to run around. I also am still a little concerned about the size of the locker room. I think the locker room is still a little too small, but I understand that we're considering a daily use and not a maximum efficiency use, so, but still want to get that in there. And I think in overall, things would look a lot better, and keep up the good work. And also one more comment, I do agree with Todd that we should consider donating this thing, especially being a member of one of the community swim teams that are on the area. If Brownell goes down, I know that swim team will be looking for additional pool space as well. Just something to be considerate of, because sure, we do use the high school, but we also do use the middle schools a lot. And I think that would be something beneficial to both the community for swimming and for swim practice. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ann Raymond, 477 Chalfont. And as the others have said, I'm delighted with the things we attended the last meeting, and I'm delighted with all the changes that have been made. I have a couple of questions. Since I've been one of those 6:30 in the morning swimmers to get the laps in then. The access to that, because I've seen others other than me who don't use ladders or crawl in from the sides. Is there a ramp? Is that what I'm seeing there? And what would the access be in the rec
There's the
pool
ramp,
area?
there's the ramp. And then there's some steps also here as well.
Okay, excellent. That wasn't real clear. And then to ask in the scheduling, if we can try to schedule so that there is lap possibility, because the way it's been now, you either have to go in at 6:30 in the morning or you can't go in until 10. So I know that's not in all of this, but just to bring it up right now, so. Okay, thank you.
Howdy, Ryan Stevens, STPHENS, if you're writing it down. I'm at 68 Scope, so really close. And I had a couple comments. I'm from Grosse, Brooklyn Points. So my kids are here, and devil's definitely in the details. I want to echo a couple of things Bridget said. Grass by the beach is a terrible idea. It's going to get ugly real quick. I think less is more there, so just keep that simple. And the trees, I'm big on that too. I hate when construction happens and we're like, oh, let's just get rid of the street. Keep the trees. Work around the trees because those are going to get better. Couldn't agree with that more. Also, the comp pool potentially closing in August, like that can't be an option, in my opinion. I mean, I'm here probably 3-4 days a week. I think the other swim team parents can echo that. This place is packed all the way through August, and we already have one of the smaller pools of the points. So cutting that in half, and trying to cram everybody in there, plus losing the diving boards. I mean, I don't even understand how that's an option. So I don't want to get like negative on it, but like that can't be on the table, closing the big pool, really during the busiest recreational park, for the non-swim team. So just wanted to make sure I echo that. Definitely for the footings for the tent, like that's, if we're gonna concrete this whole deck, having extra footings for that in the future, I couldn't agree more with that being a good option. Not only for the swim team resources, but also like what if our kids can use it on weekends, or if that opens up more use of the pool, like I'm all for that. And I couldn't agree more with that idea. So we've got to make sure the mechanicals are ready for that. I mean, 42 inches of frost line, so bury everything. I don't care, but we should definitely plan on that. My other question was the deck space. So again, deck space is like already a premium. This place gets pretty busy. I know we're sort of landlocked, so there's not a whole lot we can do. I just want to make sure we're like really considering the available deck space for lounge chairs and whatnot. That gets pretty busy. I'm on the team. I get here early with my wife and we can grab a chair and make sure we reserve a spot, because by noon, every chair is taken. So I'm not saying we need more of that, but we definitely can't lose any of that. So I just want to make sure that's considered. And then this is just a small detail. I'm putting it out there. Something I loved as a kid. I grew up in the woods, and my kids, they ask me all the time. We have a 5-year-old and 7-year-old. They're like, "Can we go to the woods park or the city park because they have better diving boards?" So I know there's 2 diving boards on there. Are those both 1 meter springboards? Can we get a friggin' high dive? Because that's every kid loves that. I mean, I know the city pool has like the super low dive, a 1 meter and a 3 meter. So I know that that's something, that's an aesthetic that can get added later. But I definitely want to make sure we consider that. We're building this whole new pool. It's going to be here for another 60 years. That was my favorite thing, was the big diving boards, and my kids love it too. So I'm just getting that on the record that. So other than that, everything looks great. Really, really like the updates, and look forward to the next round.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hi, Lee Wojciechowski, 105 Handy Road. And the only comment I have is concerning the timeline. And the reason my concern is that next summer is our 250th anniversary of the nation. And I know 50 years ago, when it was the 200th, birthday. There was a lot of activity at the pier. And it's gonna be that way all over. So my comment is I would just really have the committee consider starting after the end of next summer instead of whenever the plan. I know there's nothing in stone yet, but that was just my own comment, is to have the pool close next summer when it is a big year for our anniversary. It's just gonna be chaotic. So I was thinking if it was pushed where we had to share the pools in 27, it wouldn't be as bad. That's all.
Thank you, Lee.
I live in Big Lake, 183-year-old court, and I haven't keep myself out. Because one thing, we're talking about moving the splash pad, right? Wouldn't it be less expensive to keep it where it's at? We already got the plumbing and all the water there.
It is. It is at that same spot.
It's not gonna change?
Well, it's in the same spot, but the mechanical in it is at the point where it does need to be redone regardless, unfortunately. Yes, the age of life of it is.
And then, I totally agree with keeping the competition lanes open. There's sometimes you come and there'll be 5 or 6 of us. Swimming lanes, swimming lap lanes. And as it is, we have to work around the swim team, which I totally understand. I get kids on the swim team, I have grandkids on the swim team. So that's not an issue, but yeah, it's sometimes we'll have 6 of us out there swimming laps. And so if we're to close those competition lanes, it just shouldn't be. So, and I totally agree with not having the grass on the beach. And the last thing is my grandkids said, please, make sure we can do those boat races in the pool next year. Cause they were like, make sure they will change, we'll move to those boat races.
Hi, Julie Fowler, 460 Allard. Really appreciate all the thought that went into our feedback. I was at the very end this weekend, and your lifeguards are gonna thank you for getting rid of that lazy river. Oh my gosh, they worked so hard. They were walking laps, so I think they're gonna thank you on that one. I know this is getting into construction, but is there any thought on how the kayaks will be accessed during a shutdown? And if the beach could remain open? My mom's an avid kayaker, so she asked me to ask, because her kayak is there and we use it as well. So just putting some thought into that, so we're not taking away everything next summer, would be awesome.
Hi, Mark Tremblay, 424 Bellinger. I do like the new layout as it is. One of my concerns, though, I really, beach to me is pretty nice the way it is. I like all the trees there, I like all the shade, I like the sand. I don't know how many trees are being planned on being taken out. I would think you should be able to work around them or leave them the way they are. I just don't think there's a need for restyling that whole beach area, because I think it's in pretty good shape right now. Same with the expansion of the building. I don't know if you're planning on taking a lot of trees. I would hope again that those would be minimal, if not, or none at all. It would be best. I don't know what the economics are either, but to me, the promenade area with the fountains, although that looks very nice and pretty, I don't know how expensive that is to put in and maintain. I gotta believe it's a fairly complex mechanical system to maintain that. And I worry about things breaking down and being dysfunctional after a short period of time. But those are my concerns.
Thank you, Ron.
I, Grosse, 256 Meriwether, and I had the exact same thought as him regarding that water, the part out front, because I just thought, I don't know what the budget is, I heard it was quite a bit, and we're not there in racing, so I just wondered about that cost of the fountain and the mechanicals. I have 3 grandkids under the age of 6, And having a water feature outside of that area and then all the water inside, I can just see getting them ready to drag them out and then they wanna go in that water feature. Or if I'm in this area, they're gonna be like, one wants to go out those fountains and I've got all my stuff and I've got two there, one wants to go out front. So I just like take out water out and water in, it just seems a logistical kind of. And then as well as the top lot, they love the top lot. You know, 'cause that's the only place where swings are. I think on the, you know, if you eventually can move it where the other playscape is, where there's at least swings and littler stuff, that would be great, but the swings are huge, or, you know, tiny. But, and I'm also. Was not at the last meeting, but really came to this meeting just to say, I do not like that lazy group. Because I sing with the person saying she's at the Bavarian Inn, you know, just the safety issue and you would have to get a lifeguard right on that. And the cost of it and maintenance of it, and I think we'll understand the lazy river. So they really brought me here tonight, so I'm very happy to be the lazy river. Oh,
Okay, Rose, can you spell your last name, please?
it's GILPIN.
Thank you.
Hi, Lynn Williams, 166 Country Club Drive. I think it's amazing, that's really good, and I actually think because everything is very square rectangular. That for lifeguards, you got better sight lines. So they're not looking behind them like they currently are, which they can't, so maybe it reduces the volume you need at any given time. When they go back to school, I do think if you made it 12 months a year, property value, like having that for selling homes and Edge Point Farms would go, people would love that. Anyway, that someone said already about, I know it looks prettier to have the curved fence line, but during swim meets, that whole deck, parents stand outside the fencing. And so you need a little bit of space there because they stand outside to enjoy their adult beverages, pool deck. It does, you have to think about where the swimmers are gonna be, where the spectators that are drinking are gonna be, and the ones that are, when they stand outside that. Something to think about. And that little triangle there, that little rectangle there where you've got the bench seating, if there was a swim up bar.
Yeah. You're already in it. Thank you, Ms. Williams.
That's very hard to top that list. Hi, Courtney Dee, 235 Mendon. I just want to thank all you guys at the table for how much work you guys have obviously put into this. Really important improvement for our community. I have two kids on the swim team. We spend a lot of time here at the park, so we really appreciate it. My couple of comments. I also fully agree with Todd's suggestion of enclosing the pool so that kids and community members can use it year round. This is my first meeting. I don't know if this has been brought up, whether the pool is going to have lights or later night swimming. We used to live in the shores and they did have lights all around the pool and they used to have kind of special events, special night swims for the swimming team. Kind of like late night event for the kids for that at the end of the year. And that was really fun and it was kind of special. They didn't use it a lot, but it was also kind of a safety feature to have those additional lights as it was getting dark and twilight. So I don't know if that's something that's been thought about or incorporated, but I just wanted to mention that. And then kind of on the same lines of using the facilities year round, I don't know if there's been designated use for that second level space that I saw on the schematic yet. But I'd love to suggest the possibility of a fitness facility for residents. It's something that you don't really need to build out very much to put in. You could charge like a nominal monthly fee to residents. You could have different rates, you know, for seniors, that kind of thing. I think it would be a really great value add of an amenity for the city. Just to have that health and wellness use of the facility year round for everybody. And I think even just in terms of like property values in the city, to be able to speak to that as an amenity that this park would have would be a really big value add for the city. So that's my feedback. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Courtney.
I'm Becky Burton, 291 Range Road. I look at the footprint and I have a lot of grandkids that I bring down here. The tot lot, the swings are this, and the features that are there are very old and it's all spread out. It's a really bad use of space. We could take that tot lot and put it at half the space, keep the swings and put a new tot climbing facility with little slides. That's all they need. It's a waste of space. It really is. And if we did that, then we could take and go over farther and use it there. Thank you for listening about the splash pad too. That's great. The current things that you showed of ideas for the splash pad are really for really small kids, like 1.5, 2-year-old, maybe up to 3. The current things that they love, that there's always a line for, are the 2 water blasters where they're shooting each other. There's 2, one's larger and one's smaller set, kind of like a tunnel where there's fountains coming down. They love running through there. Nothing like that was talked about at all. There's no room around, and if we make the tot lot smaller, that we could maybe turn the splash pad the other way, and there could be, you need to have room for the parents to sit by the splash pad, because you don't want kids running around there without their parents telling them, don't do that, slow down, whatever. We need shade around the splash pad and the baby pool if possible. Oh, and I know we can't have a separate entrance for strollers, but can we have handicap doors where we can push a button so we don't have to try to open the doors with our hands and with the stroller, and you're holding the toddler too.
Thank you, Becky.
Rich Schmidt, 317 Kirby Road. Wow, I live in a really great place. I cannot believe how awesome you feel. No, I've always thought physically I live in a great place, but I live in a great. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the hard work. Everybody said so many things, I don't even think I need to say anything. I agree with the trees, I agree with the beach, I agree with pretty much almost everything I heard and all the new stuff. Great, what a great meeting. Thanks for having us here, even though you have to. And I will absolutely not identify which way I am with that. I am not going. I want to use friends.
John's right behind your brain. Thank you. Before we give it back to Mr. Reset. I would indicate what's going on. With regard to trees, real quick. I had a meeting here on the back porch with Susie Birchback about 2 weeks ago. And we took detailed notes. I have a lot of experience with regard to tree issues and things of that nature, defending cities and tree planting and the like. We have a very aggressive plan that we'd like to take to all the Grosse Pointes in the not too distant future with regard to specifically identifying trees that will grow huge canopies, will grow to 50 feet high. We looked at the survey of the tree here in the park. This park is absolutely perfect right now with regard to trees. We're not gonna mess with the trees, but we want to analyze every part of the city, starting from the border, from the cities from the border of Macomb County over to Alta Road, and see how we can bring programs for trees to all the cities and all of those places. And that will happen, I can assure you.
Yeah.
We will start in November.
Thank you all. Good time.
Please.
Nora Ezop, 251 Vendome Court. Thank you all again. Great work. I just have a little concern with the pump house that's going to be put up. Is that the actual size of what the pump house is going to be in the new area?
This new building?
Yes.
That is the actual size.
That is, okay. Again, I'm at the park a lot. I have 4 kids. We're on the swim team. It is a nice, for the most part, quiet, besides like all the kids screaming and yelling. But I just wanted to make sure like it will be not loud, like hearing the pumping, the motors and things like that on the pool deck. Okay. But other than that, love it. Good. Great job. Great.
Good.
Well, thank you all. Actually, I like this meeting a lot better than the last one. Yeah, thank you. But good comments, and again, everything has, there are trade-offs of things. I won't belabor the laser, but there are a lot of good things that came out of it. And, you know, really that did allow for the extra green space at the beach. It did allow for the longer length of the head of the pool. We did create, I think, a neat area, I call it a conversation tent in the pool that I think people will use. And in terms of, it added more space within that recreational area and more deck space. And I think our analysis, we're showing about 25% more chairs than we currently have on this rendering. I know our deck space is larger now, since we made modifications, we'll get that calculation for the next meeting. But that was important that, you know, there is, we need to keep that deck space and be able to facilitate that use. So those were good comments. I am in agreement that, you know, the intent of two pools is not to be able to close one. I want to, you know, make sure people, that's not the administrative intent. Alternatively, our Parks and Rec director might not want to hear this, but there may be opportunities to open a pool after the Labor Day season, if you can get a couple of lifeguards in the pool on a weekend where it's 80 degrees. And so I think, you know, there might be an opportunity, you know, to have one pool open outside of the normal period of time, on certainly, not always, but at certain times. And so those are the things that we'll be looking at. But good comments. You know, I guess in terms of process where we are right now, you know, there were some comments about delaying construction another year, start construction in 27 and not 26. I think administratively and you know, looking at our facilities, we feel it needs to be done now. And really can't wait. We're talking about the mechanics, the lining is failing. We've been a hope and a prayer that we've been able to keep it open this year with bubbles in the lining, steps that are actually disintegrating going into the lower pool area, failing mechanicals and proper heat in the bathrooms and in the pool itself. So, you know, we feel that, you know, the time is now. We do have some momentum. I think we began a capital campaign process where we are getting dollars to help support this project for next year. So I think the next steps is I would ask that at least conceptually, we'll make some tweaks. I mean, between now and the next meeting, looking again at the town area and the top splash pad area and eliminate the grass in the beach area, some minor modifications, but at least at this point, you know, I'd like at least the Parks and Harbor Committee to authorize us taking these plans with revisions to City Council, again, in a public forum, where we can share them again with the total public and ask for approval for a preliminary site plan. Once we have preliminary site plan, that's not the end of it. That's a preliminary site plan. As part of that, we would want to hire a construction manager who will help facilitate this project. There's a lot involved, doing detailed plans, doing specifications, doing bid documents, and lining that all up over the next few months. So we're in a position that we can start construction when the snow melts and getting going on that. So I will be recommending as part of site plan approval, you know, obtaining a construction manager for this project to take care of it from beginning to final and the permit process and so forth.
Shane, do you want that motion tonight?
I'm asking for if the Parks and Harbor Committee feels comfortable that they would approve supporting the preliminary site plan for the City Council for review in public meeting.
So is there a motion
I make a motion
to bring these proposed plans that we've discussed tonight to City Council for preliminary site plan approval? Second. Motion by Mr. Farquhar, support by Mr. Soroka. Any further discussion?
No,
Oh,
second,
any
yeah.
further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else?
quick question. You need that from the pool ad hoc committee tonight?
No,
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 just
just the ad hoc, just the Parks and Harbor, please.
All right, anything else? I know we're done and our turn is over, but it just occurred to me, I really enjoyed that gentleman's comment about the 250th year and timing. So the timing's the timing. Can we just set up a bunch of sprinklers in the basketball? I'm not kidding. So the kids can run the pool and set the water park temporarily somewhere else where people can enjoy some cooling. There's a whole.
And I encourage everyone, this is not, we've got a lot of public meetings going on, sewer separation project, 2 meetings, things of that nature. We want to keep you all informed. As I said again and again and again, this is a very important process. We listen, we're gonna act. With regard to our $59 million sewer separation project, rolling out another series of meetings as we take that up tonic for. I walked the neighborhood last week. We're gonna continue to have these hearings. They're very helpful. And please join us in the city council meeting too. All of you have been very active in this process. Your comments have been heard. We would love to see you when we're back here in the city council meeting to discuss the preliminary site plan. It would be really a great help to all of us. Really would. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Support, all in favor? Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Okay, so I have it as, yeah, motion to bring the preliminary site plan to the council, yeah, by Jim. Second by Tony, all in favor, right? Okay.
I don't know.